Am I the asshole for telling my wife there is no way she is naming our son after her ex? My wife lost her first husband James 8 years ago. At the time she was pregnant with their baby girl and miscarried soon after his death. Now we are expecting our first child together, a baby boy. She was set on the name James. I told her that's just too weird for me, and while it's a nice name, I don't want to name my son after her ex. She dropped it and eventually suggested the name Oliver. I loved it, and we agreed. 3 days ago her family was over for dinner and I told them about the name we've chosen. Her sister then said, "Oh, so like James?" and first was confused. So sister said, "Well, that was James's middle name, wasn't it?" After they all left I told my wife I've had it with her trying to push her ex into our lives like this. She said we already agreed on Oliver. I told her I'm not signing the birth certificate if she names him after her ex. She says being insensitive. Her mother says I should let it go because it was just a middle name. Her sister says it's weird to name the baby after the ex in any scenario. AITA? ETA. I apologize for saying ex-husband instead of late husband. I'm Mexican. English isn't my first language and I wasn't aware that the distinction between the words is so crucial in this setting. Again, apologies. A lot of people here are seriously out of touch. How is it okay that she tried to trick him into naming their child after her last husband after he explicitly said he wasn't comfortable with that? Come on, not the asshole. Not the asshole. She is being completely disrespectful and unreasonable. A child's name is something both parents should agree and be happy with. What on God's good earth am I reading in this comment section? While I do sympathize with OP's wife and her loss, how is it reasonable to want to name your child with your current husband, after your late one? Fucking hell. She can honor her late husband in several other ways that does not include naming their child after him. That's too much emo. Not the asshole. I'm surprised how many people are voting otherwise because you called her late husband her ex. I think naming the baby anything after her late husband kind of puts you and your relationship second to what they had. Almost like you're a replacement, stand-in, and she's living out a dream of having kids with him. Second, she tried to trick you. That's really dishonest and shitty. Again, not taking your feelings into account. If you're jealous now, even though he's dead, it's manifested by how she's gone about this. I can understand your anger and mislabeling him the ex. While that is not cool either, it's understandable at this point. Edited. AITA started that he was not aware that the preferred term was late husband as English is not his first language. Not the asshole. Your wife should have disclosed that Oliver was James's middle name. Not the asshole. It feels like she tricked you. Naming your child after someone else when you don't agree to it is strange. Am I the asshole for throwing all of my MIL's things out of my bedroom? My mill moved in with me, F25, and my husband, M26, a week ago while her house is being renovated. P.S. The renovations were being done in the second floor, so she had no reason to leave the house, but she said the noise makes her anxious. She didn't go stay with any of her sons, who have larger homes, but came to stay with us in our one-bedroom apt. My husband brought her in without even telling me. She brought about 4 huge bags with her and asked if she could put some of her things in my bedroom. I said absolutely, and gave all the sock drawers to keep her things in, though I wasn't feeling comfortable with her barging in all the time and invading my privacy just to grab something of hers. She started complaining about lack of storage to put her dresses and makeup in and asked if I could share my closet with her, but I said no for many reasons. One of them is because I need privacy and my closet is where I keep all of my personal things. She huffed and puffed but dropped it eventually. I went to work and got home at 8. I entered my bedroom and to see something strange. I opened my closet and all my things were gone. Her things like dresses and underwear and blouses were hanging and or folded on the side. I was so confused I immediately asked her about it and she stood near the door and nonchalantly said she borrowed my clothes to store her expensive things, since keeping them in bags or the socks drawers was causing damage. I furiously asked where all my things were. She pointed at different cabinet in the living room and said all my clothes were there, and as for makeup, jewels were at the bottom of the kitchen cabinet. I lost it completely. I grabbed all her clothes that were inside my closet and threw them out of the bedroom. She started yelling and then started looking for her phone to call my husband. I told her that I shouldn't be basically kicked out of my own space and told her to take her things and leave. My husband came over and started yelling at me saying I was way out of line. He told me that all his mom asked me was to share, but I was being petty for no reason. I told him it's my room and he lashed back saying it was his room too and I was being ridiculous. He then started berating me for telling to leave, but I took my stuff and went to stay with my mom. He tried to speak to me saying it was me who caused this fight and that he already told me this is all just temporary till his mom's house is done being renovated. He said my reaction was wrong and made his mom upset. He asked me to let it go and get right with his mom and reach a compromise. Am I the asshole for how I reacted? Not the asshole. Stay at your mom's until your mill is out and you need to think long and hard about counseling or divorce. Mama's boys are not good husbands or fathers. Do not even consider having children with this man. This is a big major husband problem. Not the asshole. First off, your husband brings her in without checking with you, then when she takes over your space he sides with her. Do you have somewhere else you can go or stay with? If your husband is this devoted to his mom, he can have her keep him company instead of you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. OMG, that's a big red flag. From the beginning all that he brings his mother without your knowledge into your personal space. Then he only makes it worse by enabling his mother to act to you like that. Because eventually he stands up for his mom and not you. You are not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your mill sounds insane and your husband is letting her mistreat you and doing the same. Getting out was the best thing you could do. I suggest making it a permanent move. Petty? For no reason? I cannot imagine that he would take that position if it were his things. Not the asshole. I am sure many other people will mention that this would be a moment to really consider your relationship. I would encourage you to do so. Not the asshole. Now you know why she isn't staying with her other sons. They know better. Your husband is completely in the wrong. It's your home. Stay with your mom until she moves out. Am I the asshole for announcing my pregnancy after my Sil announced her miscarriage? Update. I know it's probably too soon for an update, but this is a minor but maybe important one. My in-laws knew of the miscarriage and they hid it after Sil requested nobody finds out until she sees fit. That's fine, I respect that. But some of you were partly right on your guesses. In-laws had suspected my announcement would be a pregnancy and they advised Sil to break the news of her miscarriage in order to stop me sharing my news now. Sil would share her own sad news eventually, but it wasn't originally planned for the dinner party. She was advised to do so by my mill. My Phil told this to my husband a while ago when they spoke on the phone, and because my Phil hates being involved in drama, he basically said, "Take this info and do as you wish with it, just leave me out of this from this point on because I want to be okay with all my kids." Og post. I'm pregnant with my first child. My Sil, my husband's sister, has one girl 3 years old and she suffered one miscarriage. 2 months ago she announced she's pregnant again and her pregnancy was going well. I found out I'm pregnant 1 month ago and my husband and I decided to host a dinner to announce the surprise of our own pregnancy as well. We hosted a dinner for my family and his. During dinner my Sil announced that she had miscarried again and she was devastated. We consoled her and tried to encourage her to feel better. At that point I felt so bad and I had doubts about announcing my pregnancy, but because the dinner was out of nowhere, both my parents and my in-laws expected to hear of some kind of announcement about something. After some time passed and the consolation of my Sil was over and we moved on to other topics, my husband and I decided we should announce it since that's why we host the dinner in the first place. We announced we are expecting and we could tell my in-laws, and my Sil with her husband were not that happy about it. My parents were delighted since it's going to be their first grandchild. My parents-in-law offered a cold congratulations, but they didn't do or say anything more than that and just skipped it altogether. I understood why they did that and I knew the risk that this would happen when my husband and I decided to announce it. But my Sil and her husband made comments about how it's insensitive that we couldn't even wait and we rub it in their face after what they've been through. My husband and I tried to defend our stance, saying that this is why we hosted the dinner in the first place, in order to share the happy news. My Sil's husband said that as soon as Sil announced her miscarriage then we should forget about the announcement and change the topic or make up something fake and insignificant to announce. And how we are very insensitive for what we did. Am I the asshole? Edit. They knew the dinner we hosted was in order for my husband and I to make an announcement about something. We told them when we invited them that we also have something to announce. They knew the purpose of the dinner, they just didn't know what the exact announcement would be. Edit. Adding another disclaimer after a Redditor suggested I do so. Sil and her husband are usually very private people. Whatever they've announced about their life, engagement, her first pregnancy, her second pregnancy which turned into her first miscarriage, and her recent pregnancy, were all shared privately through FaceTime or phone calls. They were never the kind of people who'd announce something either good or bad during a family gathering. When my husband and I got engaged and hosted a surprise party to announce our engagement, my Sil made comments about how she could never announce something like that publicly because she hates the attention being on her because she's an extremely private person. So her making that announcement publicly even in front of my parents, who are basically strangers to her, was completely a first because she's never done anything like this before. Who hijacks a dinner to announce their miscarriage? Why did she not send out the memo before the dinner? Why not give the host a chance to talk before bringing the mood down with her bad news? Why did she not pick a better time to make her sad announcement? Yeah. Her logic works against her, too. Not the asshole. ETA. No more telling them at all, in the future. Let them find out on their own from now on. ETA 2. Thanks for the awards. Honestly, not the asshole. Any good news you had would have overshadowed their miscarriage. I absolutely understand as someone who has had a miscarriage that telling people isn't fun, nor is there a right time. However, a dinner that is hosted by someone else is absolutely the wrong time. ETA. I'm incredibly sad to see the latest update, Op. I'm so sorry that your in-laws would be that nasty to you. I wish you and baby all the best during your pregnancy. Not the asshole. It's not your fault that they chose your dinner that you had solely for the purpose of making your announcement to make their announcement about the miscarriage. They should have waited until another time. I don't understand all the condemnation. I've had several miscarriages myself and wouldn't have ever A. announced one at a dinner party and B. bitched out another pregnant woman out of jealousy. Since when is it okay to verbally attack a pregnant woman? And it was your event undertaken for a specific reason that they chose to hijack. It seems some people are expecting a level of consideration from you way over what you received yourself and what they'd give themselves. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I've suffered 3 miscarriages and I would never hijack a dinner party to announce it. While I mourned my losses, I was still very capable of being happy for others who were pregnant. Not the asshole. I've had a miscarriage. That wasn't reason for me to be overbearing and cruel to others in their time of joy. I still wonder about that one middle child of mine. Their passing changed my life, yet I never begrudged someone else's joy and good fortune. Your in-laws have other issues is a safe assumption. Congrats, thankfully your parents are thrilled and love the father of their grandchild. Am I the asshole for pulling my horse from public lessons? I, 16F. Own a lovely dapple gray mare. Mustang. She's 22 and getting older but still has tons of spunk and energy. While I was in school I allowed the place I board at to use her for lessons in return for halved board fee. I'm only 16 and I couldn't ride her much. She did great with it as she mostly helped out beginner riders and newcomers, leaving the more advanced things to me. Now that school is out for summer, I was thinking of pulling her but didn't since I knew they'd need all hands on deck for the summer camp one volunteered to do. Literally free of charge for babysitting and letting them use my horse from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We usually just walk the horses on the trail and escort the newer kids, which is fine and easy. The issue arises when an older kid, let's call him Leo, starts riding. His family owns a barn and he's been gearing up to ride his own horse, assuring me that he can tack up my horse just fine. Despite not riding English pretty much ever, I oblige, trusting him, and go to help out with the craft table since all hell has broken loose. I end up hearing my pretty girl, horse, was acting up, on trail and for trotting, which never really happens unless she's in heat. I figured she was having a bad day, but after untacking her I was practically livid. Her girth was incredibly tight and on a way higher setting than I usually do. She was snippy and clearly uncomfortable. I just gave her a rest day and followed Leo out when he was riding again the next day. As Leo is riding around in the arena, he's incredibly heavy-handed. Even after I tell him to stop, he doesn't post at the trot and keeps kicking even when she's going. He keeps tightening her girth up too high, pulling all on her mouth, which she does not need. She works beautifully without a bridle and on a soft hand. I've never used a crop on her, and will not listen to me. I'm fuming at this point and pull him off the horse, explaining that my mare is fine and he's using too much force on her. He just kinda nods and goes to untack her, but I keep having to follow behind him to fix the things he messes up. Apparently, he talked to his mother about it, and the barn owner had a chat with me in the tack room about how I need to be more gentle on the campers and that she's allowing my horse to participate out of the kindness of her heart. It felt horrible, but I really felt like I was in the right, so I told her, in a fit of rage which was not my best moment, that my mare would be going back to private riding and would be pulled from lessons. I backed out of the camp as well and only help every now and then. My barn friends are livid since they're now one horse and one counselor short, and I do feel bad for just some petty thing. Am I the asshole? Update. Horse tax here. I've read through about 50% of the comments. There are too many, I can't keep up, but thank you for the feedback. I realize now this is a much deeper issue to address, and I'm in the process of finding a new possible barn, which isn't easy as my area is notorious for mistreatment. I see my pretty girl every day. People have not been riding her, which is honestly really nice since I can do longer rides. This has kinda opened my eyes. So thank you again. Not the asshole. Sounds to me like you aren't taking issue with campers or inexperienced riders. You're taking issue with someone who is deliberately ignoring your instructions on how to treat your animal. I don't know anything about horses, but I do know that a big part of learning to work with animals is accepting they are all different and you need to tailor your treatment of them based on their personalities and preferences. If the program doesn't support and understand your concern, it's probably best to pull your horse from public riding. Not the asshole. It's not a petty thing. Your horse was being mistreated and the person who was mistreating her had no interest in doing things correctly. Not the asshole. Your horse can't speak for herself, so you needed to protect her. If they don't follow your rules for your horse, they shouldn't touch her. Not the asshole. Someone mistreated your horse and you advocated for her. That's your job as the owner, because she can't do it for herself. The dismissive reaction of the barn owner is reason enough to step back to protect your horse. With the bullshit response, "I'm allowing you to do me a favor," adds on to. That the counselors are now short on people and on animals is not your responsibility. It's the barn owners, organizers. You have nothing to feel bad about. Your responsibility is towards your horse and you did good on her. Very mature. Not the asshole. You are looking out for your personal animal. Your horse is elderly and the camper refused to listen to you on her handling. Never feel bad for protecting your companion. But, be prepared to pay full rate. Not the asshole. As a horse owner myself, this kind of stuff pisses me off. She's not allowing your horse to participate out of the kindness of her heart. You're allowing your horse to be used by them, for their business, at no cost. On top of that, your horse was being mistreated by their clients. Your horse's health, safety and happiness comes first. And they're lucky the kid didn't seriously fuck up and injure your horse or get injured himself, because things could have gone seriously wrong. You're 100% right and not the asshole to pull your horse out of that.